we are, end of the year, and holy shit, it has been a crazy year.
Unclean!
With the COVID pandemic and the 2020 election, at least one of those things is now over with.
Pull it in. You folks all right? Hold it right there. Hold it.
And while it's been a little bit bumpy trying to get reviews and trailer reviews and reactions over on my other YouTube channel out on time, I won't say this hasn't been a productive year as far as content making goes, and with 2021 approaching fast, I thought, why not end the year on a New Year's theme movie? And where to go for a New Year's theme movie? Why, the Cannon Group, of course.
Excellent!
Today we'll be looking at the 1980 punk rock slasher film, New Year's Evil.
I'm going to commit murder.
One terrifying night of unspeakable evil.
Back in 2017, I did a trailer review for this film with my friend Christine over on the Old School Trailer Hound show, and our opinion at the time was it was a pretty kick-ass looking trailer and definitely made us want to watch the film. And I know there's Terror Train, but title-wise, this just seemed like the more appropriate choice, and it's a little sillier, which makes for a more fun review. Also, with it being near the end of 2020, New Year's Evil joins the big-ass list of films that are now 40 goddamn years old.
You see, when you're young, you're a kid, you got time, you got nothing but time. The older you get, you say, Jesus, how much I got? I got 35 summers left.
It's crazy how time flies.
I lived through the Black Plague and I had a pretty good time during that.
Brought to us by Can Group founders and producers Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus, directed by Emmett Alston, whose other credits include 3-Day Weekend, 9 Deaths of the Ninja, Tiger Shark, Demon Warp, Force of the Ninja, Little Ninjas. You seeing a pattern here? The screenplay was written by Leonard Newbar, this actually being his final film credit. The story centers around a punk rock DJ named Diane Sullivan, or as she's known to her fans, Blaze.
Now, this is your last chance to be bad before you make those New Year's resolutions. That's why we call our celebration New Year's Evil.
Played by the very attractive Roz Kelly, hosting a very special New Year's countdown where in between the bands playing their songs, we get the midnight countdowns on the East Coast, Central Time, Mountain Time, and finally on the West Coast.
Standing by, Chicago?
We're right with you, Blaze, and we'll be here 1 hour after New York.
As the celebration begins with the band playing the movie's theme, Blaze gets a fan call from somebody identifying himself as Evil.
Call me evil. I'm going to commit murder.
Saying that at each of the midnight countdowns, someone will die. And Blaze, believing the show must go on, pushes forward, all the while working with the police to try and find out where the calls are coming from, where the killer will strike next, and seeing if the killer will come to her during the final countdown.
Everybody got that?
The storyline is actually a pretty good one. It creates a genuine feeling of suspense and a little bit of mystery, wondering who exactly is this killer, and New Year's Evil stands out in the sense that unlike most 80s slasher films, the killer in this film is actually unmasked. We see his face throughout the film, and the first victim to die before the countdown even begins is Diane, Blaze's assistant, Yvonne.
Run, bitch! Run!
telling you, man, the black guy always dies first.
They just got into it, and this scene is a real good way to open the film. It's dark, intense, and really gives you a good sense of the danger that's going on before jumping into the kick-ass opening credits. As the celebration and the killings go on, Diane works with a Lieutenant Clayton, played by Chris Wallace, a guy who doesn't really get the punk rock scene.
Frankly, if you'll excuse my saying so, you got to expect that from the type of audience you appeal to.
Look, people close to me were threatened.
The next killing is at a place called the Crawford Sanitarium. No connection to me or my family. A mental hospital that, given the time period, seems appropriately not run very well. The killer dons a nurse's outfit and seduces a bubbly blonde nurse named Jane, played by Taffy O'Connell, who some people might recognize as Worm Girl from Galaxy of Terror.
Maybe this isn't going to be such a bad New Year's Eve after all.
He charms her into some champagne. They make out as the countdown goes on the radio, and then, while not being overly graphic, stabs her into a bloody mess. It may not be on the same level as the early Friday the 13th, but you really feel the stabs when you see that bloody knife. The more it's confirmed just how real the killings are. Diane is put into a scared state, but still moves on forward, cause, she's a trooper?
No, goddammit, it's my show. I'm not gonna let this cutthroat ruin it for me.
The killer, showing that he's a bit of a master of disguise, dons a thick mustache, goes to a disco club, where he picks up yet another bubbly blonde named Sally, played by Louise Morite, who some people might recognize from another Roger Corman production, Death Race 2000.
I could introduce you to some very interesting people.
At least I wouldn't get crushed to death.
That I guarantee.
He sweet-talks her into coming to a party at Eric Estrada's house. Yep, definitely 1980.
I'm ready. I have to bring my roommate Lisa along. You wouldn't want me to go out by myself with a total stranger, would you?
Couldn't agree with you more.
She brings her friend along, leading to a, honestly, pretty funny scene in the car where the killer, trying to get to the right place to kill them during the countdown, has to listen to Sally talk about how meditation has solved all of her stress in life.
Listen, I do it every morning. You can change if you really want to. Now, I'm writing haikus.
Haikus?
And has helped out her friend Lisa as well.
Lisa got rid of her nervous diarrhea.
Sally, please.
Oh.
Whatever comes into your head comes right out of your mouth.
TMI applies pretty appropriately here.
15 seconds and counting.
I think her diarrhea's back.
It's squidgy! Christ, I'm getting all emotional from it, you know?
Evil takes out Sally Black Christmas style under the lure of good pot.
Here.
2,
Smell.
1. Happy New Year!
And with a really good creepy trailer shot, he takes out Lisa off screen in a dumpster. The one downside to this killing scene and a few other points in the film is we get this really weird horror music. That is clearly a ripoff of the Friday the 13th theme. Although it's made up when the cops discover the bodies, and as far as finding dead body scenes go, these are really eerie moments to watch. Now donning a priest collar, Evil makes his way down the road and after accidentally knocking into a couple of bikers, Evil finds himself on the run and taking refuge in a drive-in movie theater, playing Blood Feast. Nope, not the Herschel Gordon Lewis movie. The movie playing here is actually The Red Queen Kills 7 Times, which was released in some areas under the alternate title, Blood Feast. With a couple of horny teenagers on one side and the biker gang on the other, Evil ditches his vehicle. One of the bikers tries to rattle him up, resulting in Evil making his only male killing of the film. He steals the horny couple's car, throwing the boyfriend into the dirt, and the girl remains in the back seat, terrified for her life, offering him money. He refuses. And then, and what is one of the worst bits of acting in the film, cries and screams,
"Please, I'll do anything you want. You can even get it on if you want to. I won't make any kind of fuss."
Wow.
Can you even act?
The girl busts out of the car and, just by a cunt hair, escapes with her life.
We made it, Scoob! We're alive!
Back at the hotel, Blaze meets again with Lieutenant Clayton and their on-the-call shrink, who gives a pretty straightforward and easy-to-understand analysis of the killer based on what they know.
He's mutilated the breasts of most of his women. That's a common characteristic of a psychopathic killer who has a mother fixation.
Really? You think? Evil arrives, security has now become very tight at the hotel. Realizing he can't get in through the front door, Evil makes his way through the back, knocking out a dumb donut cop.
Hey officer, can you give me a hand over here? I think I found a drunk.
Diane goes back to her hotel room to touch up her makeup, having a tense moment with her son, who I haven't talked about much because that's a part of the film that deserves its own segment entirely. While doing her makeup and trying to get a hold of herself, we see the killer come out, for the first time, wearing a traditional slasher mask, which looks like a stone version of the V for Vendetta mask. When Diane notices the killer, he takes it off, and we find out just who he is.
In case you're wondering who I am, I happen to be the lady's husband.
What do you say, Miss Sullivan?
Yes, this is my husband.
Yeah, the killer, who we've been seeing throughout the film, is Blaze's husband.
I didn't even see that coming.
It's an interesting twist. They set up that her husband, who she wanted to have in the show, was not being reached. They did some good establishing moments that didn't completely give away that that's where it was going. So, yeah, this is a reasonable twist, although I can't really say it's a shocking twist. With the sudden appearance of the husband, the police do a background search and discover that he was actually once a patient at the Crawford Sanitarium.
I always knew that bastard was crazy.
Come on.
How Blaze and her people never found out about that is your own guess. But then again, this is only a few years after the dating game had a fucking rapist later found out to be a serial killer as a guest.
Man, this is crazy.
Evil, whose name is now revealed to be Richard Sullivan, goes far down to the hotel and starts fucking with the elevator circuits. Motherfucker must have a lot of hobbies and free time.
Any kids?
2 sets of twins.
While Diane is in the elevator with her cop bodyguard, Richard causes the elevator to go down real fast. After dragging the cop out, he goes in and reveals to Blaze that he is evil.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Instant replay. Miracle of modern technology.
It's here that we get his explanation for why he's been killing people at the midnight countdowns.
I'm fed up. You are just like every other lady in my life. Ladies are not very nice people.
He reveals they started killing because of how he believes his wife has treated him, how all women have treated him.
See, that's why Yvonne was first. I have had to beg her through you for every cent I ever got. My allowance. You castrated me. that is not nice.
Man, I can just imagine the debates that would happen between SJWs and right-wingers if this movie came out today.
They are manipulative and deceitful and immoral and very, very selfish.
And I'm not saying this is not a good reason for why this loon has become a serial killer, because there's been plenty of killers that gave similar explanations for why they did what they did, but Kip Niven actually does a really fucking good job as this movie's killer, with the constant disguises and differing personalities he puts on throughout the film. It's a really tough acting role to play, and he pulls it off, and he's actually pretty chilling and scary in many parts of the film. But here, when he gives the explanation,
He didn't use his last name, so they didn't know that he was Blaze's little boy.
in a mixture of both the writing and his performance, he just goes a little too over the top for my taste. Although Roz Kelly really saves the scene because, goddamn, she really looks terrified for her life. And now it's time to talk about the son, Derek Sullivan, played by Grant Kramer, who fans of 80s cult cinema might recognize from Hard Bodies and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Excrement!
The character of Derek is strange. And I know that's a weird thing to say in this movie, but this character almost feels like he's from a completely different movie.
I'll tell you what you see in me.
He's Diane's son, who's just gotten a role on a TV show and seems real excited to tell his mother, but she's so busy with the New Year's celebration that she doesn't even hear him tell her that he's got the part. And you can see this hurts him. Then it leads to a really bizarre set of scenes where we see him popping pills, ripping his mother's pantyhose, I think, licking them, and putting them on his head.
Now what do you think?
And Richard mentions to Diane during his big confession scene,
Derek also told me about the way you try to turn on your own son, and that is not nice.
or at least that's how he perceived it. So, yeah, this film suddenly has a pretty weird, doesn't match up with the rest of the film, Oedipus subplot.
What are you saying? That I wanted to fuck my mother?
It's Freud.
Well, then Freud's a sick fuck, and you are too for bringing it up.
You could cut all of Derek's scenes out, and it really wouldn't affect the film in any way.
Derek, I'm sorry. I forgot you were here.
Haven't you always? I had a surprise for you, and right now I don't want any part of it.
But enough bitching and moaning. We then get the most awesome part of the film. Richard chains up Diane to the bottom of the elevator, tinkering with the circuits, causes the elevator to shoot up, shoot down, just zigzag all over the place.
There's some fucking shit going on here.
On the one hand, it looks terrifying. On the other, it looks like the ultimate Tower of Terror ride. The ever-efficient police show up, putting an end to Richard's kick-ass elevator ride from hell. They chase him up to the roof where, seeing no way out, he puts on his V4 Van Nixon mask, quotes a little Shakespeare,
And the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to.
and then jumps off to his death.
I'll see you in hell.
See you in Pittsburgh.
Gotta say, his death was a little underwhelming. Derek sees his father's dead body, breaks down like a pussy, takes his mask off. Diane is wheeled into the ambulance. As the ambulance driver makes sure she's well, he tells the air driver to get going, where we see we hear a radio broadcast from Hawaii celebrating New Year's, and that's where the movie ends.
I have so many questions.
I really enjoy New Year's Evil. It's fast, it's got a good pace. The only part of the film I don't really like is the all-over-the-place ending. The film just kind of went off the rails in the last 10 minutes. And the cliffhanger was, even for a slasher film, a little too cliched, and the Derek character, once again, just felt weird and out of place in the movie. But the elevator ride pretty much makes up for it.
Super fine.
Roz Kelly does a good job as Diane Blaze Sullivan, playing a determined, the show must go on showwoman, a little bitchy when it comes to the cops, and the stuff with her son, I will admit, she did come off a bit unlikable in those scenes, but overall, Roz Kelly, she carried the film very well. She had a real fun side, especially during the music segments. Kip Niven as Richard Evil Sullivan is just excellent, with the exception of the breakdown confession scene. He's a very believable killer. Chris Wallace as Lieutenant Clayton, not much to this character. He's just kind of there throughout the film, but for the most part he seems competent. Grant Kramer, for as many issues as I have with the Derek character, he plays an unstable mama's boy pretty well. And I can't end this review without giving a big shout out to the people responsible for the music. Other than their blatant ripoff of Lauren Rinder and W. Michael Lewis do an excellent job composing the film, giving us an eerie, at times electric score. And the songs, particularly the New Year's Evil, are just badass. We also get a really funny song that has the repeated lyrics, "Dumb blondes." Do I recommend New Year's Evil? Hell yeah. It's a very well made, extremely enjoyable slasher film to watch, especially as you're approaching the new year. It would make a good double feature with Terror Train.
I agree.
And that's it. 2020 is over. It's been a real up and down year, mostly down, and everybody keeps saying they can't wait for it to end, and well, I agree. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods just yet. COVID-19 is still very much alive, and until we get the vaccines, remember, stay safe, keep your distance, wear your masks, and hopefully we live through the next year.
This has been a very bad year for me.
I'll see you again soon. Time for my New Year's hiatus. The JMC reviews will return in April as they always do. There'll be uploads on the Movie Buff Reactions channel, and hopefully I'll be able to reunite with my friends Alex and Christine again soon. Get back to normal, regular collaborations, and till then, later.
Happy New Year to you. Have fun.
Ha
You must think I'm really weird.